Solo DMZ has just got a lot more harder with the new Season 1 Reloaded update. The AI has been turned up to a really ridiculous mode where they are aggroing onto you from further away. They seem to be more aggressive and lock onto you through walls, windows, and there does seem to be a lot more AI in general and a lot more tier 3 AI about, which is going to make solo play a lot more harder. I do think that this will be changed, but we will go over some things to help counter them for my fellow solo players. I also do want to go over some of the really good changes, fixes and additions added to DMZ, which overall I do think has made this update a really good update. I think the AI negativity is kind of overshadowing everything, and I think if they change that, I think the update overall is really good. We're going to have some info on the Building 21 cards. In the background, you're going to see some solo gameplay from me this morning in search of these Building 21 access cards. And so I'm going to go over ways you can find these cards from my findings, other people's findings on Reddit and YouTube comments I've noticed, so we can kind of get some information out on people who are looking for these cards. So let's get straight into it. So there's a lot of good changes which have been added to DMZ, including a lot of mission fixes where certain objectives were not counting. Backpacks now stay on the ground to loot, which is a really good one. This is something I really wanted to be changed. I put a tweet out about it the other day. So now when you shoot someone and down them, if they disconnect, their backpack will now stay on the ground for you to loot, and it stays there for quite a long time. From what I can see, at least 10 minutes. Before, if they disconnected, chances are the backpack would disappear and the only thing you could loot would be the weapon. So that's a really good fix. You now also start with full plates on your armor. But this is a huge one too. Like, I noticed every single time I used to spawn in with level 3 armor, I would have to put an extra armor plate on to top me up to start with full plates. Now you just start with the full plates and you don't have to use any of your armor plates at the start, which is a really good change. I also feel the map feels a lot more smoother. Some of the lighting and shadows do look a lot better. And also the contraband stash destroy bug has now gone. This is something I don't really know about or personally ran into, but I know some people have, and they've reported that it has now gone. The really cool thing, which I am really liking, and I know this one's a 50-50 split, I have seen a lot of negativity towards it, is the perks now getting rewarded for people who survive in a row. Now, the reason I like this is it brings a bit more to you wanting to survive more, right? Because in DMZ, it's all about survival, extracting and getting out your loot and progressing in your missions, right? And adding this extra makes it more worthwhile to survive, right? If you survive enough times in a row, you're going to get some really cool perks, and so it makes your life a lot more important. This is something which was added into games like Hunt Showdown, for example. When you start off in Hunt, your hunter literally has no perks. You would then do some raids, kill the boss, get out, you would get XP, and then you could spend perks on your hunter to add really cool perks which will really help you and aid you through your next games. And now I feel like this is the same type of thing with DMZ with the perks. You now can get double time or scavenger. I don't know about things like Ghost, Quick Fix, High Alert, these kind of like really kind of more powerful perks. I don't know if they should be added or not. This is going to be something I think is going to be something to test more and see if it's more of a game-breaking thing to be added or it's okay. We'll have to see how it is. Maybe they get changed a little bit for DMZ, but overall I think having perks added as a plus for surviving, like a reward for surviving in the row, I think is a good thing. So one of the negatives for the change is definitely the AI, right? We kind of talked about it a little bit before, and how kind of aggressive they are, how they've been kind of amplified in the way their difficulty is, how they seem to be able to track you through walls, windows. There's a lot more AI about, especially tier 3. And doing solo gameplay is going to be a lot more harder until they change it. I do believe they're going to change it. I don't think this is something they meant to do. And so while we're waiting for them to change it, because we don't know how long this is going to be, it could be until after Christmas for all we know, I've got a few kind of tips, hints and things you should do in your gameplay to try and make sure you can still play as a solo player and enjoy yourself, right? So the first thing is definitely take your time and don't run about, charge about, you know, and kind of carelessly get caught out in the open. I know it sounds obvious, but this is something that actually happened to me straight away when I first started playing this morning. I played normally how I would. I started charging into the certain places, looking for spawns where the other enemy players would be, and I got absolutely shredded by a load of tier 3 enemies straight off the bat. And that is one thing I done straight away. I was like, okay, something's different here. There's a lot more AI and there's a lot more tier 3 AI. I'm going to slow down my gameplay. Just take your time, look where everyone is, make sure you don't get caught out in the open against a load of AI, because this certainly will get you killed this time. The other thing is, once you start earning money, you know, a good grand or $2,000, you want to start to make use of the buy stations. Money in DMZ is to be used and spent, right? Unless obviously you're trying to reduce your cooldown of your insurance, you want to be spending your money as much as possible. So use the buy stations as much as possible. Buy ammunition boxes, buy more plates of armor. I have at least 3 or 4 stacks of armor in my backpack, because you will go through armor a lot. Due to how bad the AI just locks onto you and beams you, you will be using your armor plates a lot, and they're going to help you survive, especially if you do get caught out in the open, or there's a time where, you know, where there's a lot of them charging you. You're going to need those armor plates, so make sure you use the buy station and buy these armor plates. Buy a few self-revives. Make sure you always have a self-revive on you. Self-revives are a lot easier to find. I find them a lot in the first aid boxes now. So make sure you are searching all those first aid boxes to get a self-revive, and always have an extra in your backpack, because again, there's chances are you are going to go down a lot more than normal. So make sure you're self-revived, make sure you have a few of them at least on you. I would also run a silencer on all your weapons. This is something I talk about a lot. Run a silent sniper. The silent sniper is meta in DMZ. It was beforehand, it is definitely now even more the best gun to use in DMZ. Make sure you find a sniper rifle which suits you, put a silencer on it, and always run a sniper if you possibly can, alright? Or at least a silenced weapon. I do talk about this a lot actually in another video, and I also go over some other useful tips along with things like the spotter scope and learning player spawns. All of these type of things will help you improve your overall solo gameplay. I will leave that video in the link description down below, along with a link about player spawns in the description down below, because I do feel a lot of people don't know the player spawns still. And I always find when I spawn in, I look straight towards another player spawn, and people don't realize that I can see them and I can instantly start sniping them straight away. It's a really bad thing when it comes to spawns. It's something they definitely do need to change, and I do hope that you guys start learning these spawns, because the more you know about them, the easier it will be to survive at the start. Now, I have noticed that some of the spawns have changed slightly in this update. This is something I do want to test and see if the, I call them the death spawns, have been adjusted, because some of them were ridiculous. So you could literally just turn around and look towards the other enemies and be able to snipe them. But it is important to learn the spawn, so I will leave both those videos down below for you guys. Okay, and now let's get into how to find those Building 21 access cards. This is the new addition which has been added, Building 21. We still don't know actually how to get into Building 21, but ready so you can get in there, let's find some of the access cards. Now, in the gameplay, you've mostly seen that I found one on the train in the orange high tier boxes. Now, I believe it's not just only the train you'll find them in. I think you'll most probably have a chance at finding one of these access cards in any orange high tier box, right? There's mostly going to be a chance to find them there. Another place I've found them is in a supply drop. These are the ones which drop midway through the game. I found one in there. I've also found one on the supply drop which drops from the helicopter boss. So once you take out the helicopter boss and he drops his supply crate, I've found one in there, and I've also found the red ASUS card which you can use in Building 21 from that helicopter boss too. Another thing I've heard people say, and that's something I do want to try out myself, is use the SAM site. Take a SAM site and let it shoot down one of the planes which drop a supply drop, and there's a good chance of finding an ASUS card in one of those supply drops too. But what I think is most probably the easiest way to find them is just do the high tier kind of missions, right? Anywhere where there's a fort which has orange high tier boxes, anywhere where there's like a locked key which has high tier loot inside it, most probably has a chance to drop this. And if you found an ASUS card which hasn't been mentioned from, you know, myself or other YouTubers, put it in the comment section down below to let people know, so we all know where we can find these ASUS cards. You want to start stacking these ASUS cards up, so when we do figure out how we actually access Building 21, we've got some cards to get straight in there and have a little go. Another quality of life change I forgot to mention, just because I'm looking at the footage that you can see in a minute, the advanced UAV now displays the difference between AI and human players. Because before I felt like the advanced UAV was worse than the normal UAV, because the normal UAV would show a solid like red color for a player and a non-solid red for AI, and it does the same now with the advanced UAV. So that's another good quality of life here. I thought I'd just put that in there just because I can see the footage shows that at the minute. But I hope all this helps, guys. Let me know how you're finding the new changes to DMZ. But that is it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you soon for some more DMZ content.